My name is Peyton Osiolo, and my What a Deal horror story started on my 18th birthday when I purchased a Mercedes for about $8,400. I was told the same day that I purchased it that repairs were needed on the AC and they were going to look into a recall on the brakes for me. They told me it would take 2 days to fix it. When I came back 2 days later, the car was still not fixed. I was nervous about the time it was taking to complete a simple task, so I decided I did not want to finish the purchase of the car because of the risk factor. At this point, Kelly begged me to give him a second chance to fix the car, and he told me, and I quote, "Give me a chance to fix it. If I can't, we'll go from there." They gave me a loaner for 2 more days while they worked on the car. When I came back and they gave me my Mercedes, it only had one key. When I got home, I couldn't get the key out of the ignition. I called What a Deal in Menifee, California, and they told me that the key was loose, and it was possible that the ignition was loose as well, so I had to press in firmly when removing the key. The next day I went to school, and I was stuck in my car for 30 minutes because I couldn't get the key out of the ignition. I called What a Deal, and they kept giving me advice like press the key in harder and wiggle it. I had to leave the key in the car unlocked in the parking lot while I turned in my paper for college. I then drove the car home and left the car in my driveway with the key still in the car. About 3 days later, I was driving on the freeway on my way home from school when the check engine light came on. I went to merge to the slow lane because the car started to shake and I was getting nervous. As soon as I moved the wheel, the car shot over all 3 lanes and almost went into a wall before I gained control of the vehicle. I instantly stopped and called my father to tell him what happened. With no other option, because What a Deal wouldn't answer my call, I had to drive the car home as carefully and as slowly as possible. The next day I emptied out the car and with my father brought it to What a Deal to return the car that I almost died in. Kelly disrespected me and told me that I lied about what happened on the freeway and that I had buyer's remorse and simply didn't want the car anymore. Overwhelmed, my father negotiated for me and convinced Kelly to trade me the Mercedes for a new car so that I could feel safe while driving. Kelly offered me only one car to trade, the Jeep Cherokee that I now own. With no other option, I had to accept the car. The Jeep was only worth $3,200, so Kelly made me get a warranty, purchase all new tires, and pay to fix a problem with the stereo to make the car equivalent to the Mercedes that I bought. After I paid for the car, he told me that the Jeep wasn't ready to get. I asked for another loaner to drive for the next day while he fixed the Jeep, but he refused to. With no other option, I had to drive the Mercedes to school and for soccer the next day. On my way home, the Mercedes broke down and I was unable to merge lanes quick enough to get safely off the freeway, so I was stuck between 2 lanes. I called What a Deal, and they sent a repairman to fix my car. I also called my dad. They fixed the Mercedes and drove it back to What a Deal, while they made me drive a car back that I was not insured on. My dad followed us the whole way. My Jeep was still not ready, so they gave me another loaner, and I drove back to school for my second practice of the day. Since they put no gas in the rental, I had to stop and get gas before I went home for the day. At the gas station, the car broke down, and a large amount of clear liquid spilled out. I was unable to get the car started for 15 minutes. I called What a Deal, and Michelle answered and told me to bring the car back. When I finally got it started, I brought it in to the dealership. Michelle got in the car, revved the engine, and told me that it was fine. She sent me home with the exact same car. The next day I got in the car and went to drive to soccer, and it overheated and I was unable to drive. This was the second vehicle now that I couldn't get to work. They sent a mechanic, and once again my dad had to come out and wait with me. My father called What a Deal to complain, and Michelle answered. She said it was my fault that the cars were breaking and I was clearly doing something to them. I was taken back to What a Deal and given another loaner car. This loaner lasted me 2 weeks, which proves that I didn't do anything to the cars that I was driving. Also, during all this time, my Jeep still wasn't ready. I was given my Jeep to me about 2 to 2.5 weeks after I purchased it. As I drove the Jeep home, I noticed that it was nearly impossible to get the car to come to a stop. I took the Jeep to my father, who knows a lot more about cars than I would, and he saw that the Jeep had no brakes. They let me drive the Jeep home 15 minutes with no brakes on the freeway. I called What a Deal, and they sent out a mechanic who fixed the pinch tube that caused me to have no brakes. That night I drove to my boyfriend's house. On the way home, the car stalled out. I called my father, who told me to just try to get the car home. It stalled out one more time on the way home. The next day, I drove to school for soccer. The car stalled again on my way there before I even got on the freeway. I called What a Deal, who didn't answer, so I had to drive the car all the way to San Bernardino. The car broke down 3 times on my way. The next day, the car broke down on me again, and on the way home, I brought it to What a Deal. They gave me a loaner for the day. When I picked my Jeep up, they told me nothing was wrong with it. Outraged, my stepmom came with me in an attempt to get my money back. After waiting for Kelly, who was in his office for over an hour, he snuck out the back door and left Michelle to do his dirty work. Michelle then explained that I was responsible for the car's breaking, and from that point on, they would no longer help me with my car troubles, despite the fact that I bought a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty from them that cost over $1,500. The next day, my car broke down 3 times on the freeway on my way to soccer. The following day, it stalled 2 more times before finally shutting down, and I was unable to get it to start up again. I called What a Deal, who, again, didn't answer my calls. I had to get AAA out to tow the car for me. For the next 4 to 5 days, the car sat at my aunt's house, and What a Deal answered none of my calls and returned none of my voicemails. The tires that Kelly made me purchase for over $1,000 were too small to support the weight of the vehicle. I watched Kelly, on my way back to my house, I watched Kelly sell my broken Mercedes to a different family, and 2 days later, I saw it on the lot again. They won't answer any of my calls at this point. They won't honor my warranty. They made me get a tire upgrade that is too small for the car. And they're giving me loaners from their lot, not rentals. I've been picketing out front of What a Deal for a couple weeks now, and on the first day, over 11 people stopped and told me that they were also screwed over by What a Deal. Within the, I believe, 2 weeks that we've been picketing, over 30 people have stopped and told me that they were also ripped off by What a Deal, that they were stealing their money, they were taking their cars. I've had veterans come up and tell me that they also were ripped off, and the people in the area are mostly older. Yeah, I'm just trying to get my money back. I know it's going to be hard, but I don't have a choice. I'm a college student. I don't have that much money. Thank you for listening.